So welcome back to a new Game Stuff episode, and I'm back. I spent a little bit of time with my family because that's the most important thing to me. Video games are awesome, but family always comes first. PSA right there, absolutely. But I do have some amazing, cool items to show you here, and we're gonna ease into this episode with my first item here, and it is the packed edition of Ys 9 Monstrum Nox, the physical copy. Finally got it. I'm happy to have it because I finished the game, the review copy, at 35 hours. Yes, 35 hours it took me to get through the game, and I said that it's an 8 out of 10 for a regular game, but it's a 9 out of 10 for an Ys game, and it's in my top 5 Ys games of all time. I really enjoyed the game, and I was happy that you finally get out of the city. That was the main thing for me. I was like, does the entire game take place in the city? And also one of my main complaints was I thought that the graphics, at first when I played the Japanese version, were very plain. And I noticed that in this game, later on, the graphics become a lot more detailed, especially like when you get to the final boss and all that. And there's also some gigantic monsters to take on in this game. I do recommend it if you like action RPGs, a really fantastic game. And there's also the limited edition Ys 9 Monstrum Nox right here. So what you get in the limited edition is a mini art book, a 1-disc OST sampler, reverse cover sheet, 1-disc soundtrack, the Crimson King figure, a card collection, and a keychain. Now I think this is sold out, but the one thing that you should do right now, if you are an Ys fan, is go and get the limited edition one for the Switch. That's the one that's going to be super rare if you're interested. Now, another guilty pleasure for me was this soundtrack that I ordered from PlayAsia, and that is the Ys 8 soundtrack. And it's been 4 years now. Can you believe it that the Ys 8 came out? And I loved the game when it first came out. I think it's an excellent, excellent game. I do like it more than Ys 9, which I find kind of fascinating. But the one thing in the game that really stands out and has stuck with me over time is the soundtrack. And a lot of people ask me why I buy CD soundtracks. It's, you know, in my early days of collecting, CDs were the rage, and I always collected all my anime stuff and all my video game soundtracks in CD. And I still enjoy CDs. And in my truck, I have a CD player, and I put these soundtracks in, and yes, I also have MP3s and stuff like that, but I like a physical copy. It feels like it's really there, and it really exists. Now, I had to get this on the Nintendo Switch, Ys Origin. This is an awesome little addition right here by .emu. Now, I gotta say, one day I'm gonna sit down and do my top 5 Ys games, and maybe this might be in there. This is an excellent, excellent game. If you haven't played Ys Origin, you can play it on the Switch or on the PS4. I highly recommend it. It's kind of like the beginning of the entire Ys games. Now, let's move on to some soundtracks, then we'll get back to some games here. Let's do this one right here. Look at this. This is fantastic. The Shenmue soundtrack, the Shenmue 2 soundtrack. Beautiful stuff, and let's open this all up. By Data Discs, some of the best guys in the business, I'm telling you. Look at this. I can't wait to listen to this. And can you believe it? It's nearly 20 years since Shenmue 2 came out. And I remember at the time when I got the game, I wasn't working. And the music now haunts me at that time because I just lost my job. I was really bummed out. And I was playing Shenmue 2 and I'm like, oh my God, I'm like, you know, what am I gonna do next? What am I gonna do next? You know, that horrible, horrible feeling. And so that time in my life is tied to this music from Shenmue 2, which is so amazing. And it's gonna be a bit of a trip to listen to it again. And I love vinyl, as you know, and especially video game soundtracks on vinyl, so cool. And now the next one here, this is really, really something special. And I can't believe it. It's nearly 30 years later, and I played this in the arcade. I never ever thought there would be a vinyl soundtrack. If you told me back when I was a kid playing this in the arcade that one day you'll have the vinyl soundtrack of this, I'd be like, there's no way. Well, here it is. Magician Lord is on vinyl. Isn't this ridiculous? Isn't this ridiculous? The great old Neo Geo game, which I have right here. And I have to put them side by side because that's just so trippy to see. And I love the arcade music for this. I have it, bound into my brain because me and Rob used to play this game all of the time, and it's an action platformer by SNK for the Neo Geo. Wonderful stuff, and to have the soundtrack is so crazy. And it also came with this. Can you see right here? Oh, it's on this side. The signature right here. This cover, the reverse cover here, was drawn by one of the famous SNK artists right there, and he hand signed this. This is hand signed for, it was a limited edition to pick this up, and I was like, for Magician Lord of all games, yes, I think I'll do that. Now the next game is a curiosity for me and for Kim as well. Bravely Default 2. Have you guys been playing this game? I picked it up because I read some reviews, I looked at the game, and I'm like, yes. And Kim finished the first game. She really enjoyed it until she got to the end, and the end really frustrated her. There's all this, like, she had to keep doing the same thing over and over and over again. So when I mentioned Bravely Default 2, Kim was like, no. And but I saw some reviews, and I looked at it, and I was like, it looks so charming, and it's that classic old JRPG stuff that keeps bringing me back in, right? And so what do you guys think of Bravely Default 2? Is it a great game? I'm gonna put it on the shelf, and maybe we'll get to it. Now, I was in Walmart, and I'm telling you, here's a little tip. When you're in Walmart, check out their bins, man. Check out their video game bins, their clearance bins. You'd be surprised what you can find in there. I found some real gems for super cheap, and I had to pick up Sonic Mania for 29 bucks, and that's Canadian. That's a great deal when you think about it for this game. And I picked it up on PS4, but I was like, you know what? The Switch version, I love those little cartridges. I love them, right? It feels like plug and play, so I always want to get the Switch version for that reason. And you know what? I'm warming up to Sonic. I've never been the biggest Sonic fan, but Sonic Mania is a pretty damn good game. Okay, this next one is really a funny story because I backed the Kickstarter, and then I thought I received the game at one point. And I thought, I think I got the game. And then I went to the shelf and I'm like, I can't find it. And it was a long time afterwards. And it's like, it was nearly a year after the Kickstarter. I just kind of remembered. I was like, I ordered that thing. I'm like, it's not here. I'm like, what the heck's going on? So I had to email them. I'm like, hey, I Kickstarted this thing. It's not here. And I didn't want them to think that I was like, I'd gotten it and I was like scamming them a year later. Oh, I didn't get my copy. But I really didn't get it. And so it was like Fan Gamer who wrote back to me, I think it was, or something. And they said, yeah, this is really weird. Like your order's there, but it never got processed. It never got through the system or something like that. Well, we'll send it to you right away. And that is the wonderful 101 with a cool cover right here. The game by Platinum Games that I finally got a year after the Kickstarter had ended. Everybody else had got their copies, I should say. I finally got my copy, and I was like, how did I get that messed up? Because you get busy, right? And all of a sudden you're like, wait a second, did I get that game? I'm like, I don't think so. And so I was glad they sent it out to me finally. Now, this next game is kind of a strange one for me, and I'm not new to the series by any stretch of the imagination. I found it strange that I had such a hard time tracking this game down physically. Tell me as well, is this game hard to get for you? Was this game a hard game for you to get? Because for me it was. I couldn't get it off Amazon. I couldn't get it off GameStop in Canada, EB Games in Canada. I had to get it off eBay, of all things. And that's the PS4 version of Dragon Quest XI, the definitive edition, right here. I mean, I had such a hard time getting this game. And I wonder, is it going to be rare? Like, I wonder if they only made a certain amount of copies. That's what I was thinking because it was so hard for me to get. So I was happy to get the game, and probably one of the better versions of the game that you can get. I remember the Switch version was the definitive version for quite some time, and it's nice that it's come to PS4 as well. It's an excellent, excellent game. I know I've said it for years. If you've not played it, you have to play it. It's extraordinary. Now, I know we live in a time with COVID and all this crazy stuff going on, but the one thing I try to do is support my local game stores. And there's an awesome little video game store near me called Press Start. And I go there, maybe once a month, and I always try to buy one thing to support them because I know that these are hard times for retailers, and I want these stores to stay alive. I really recommend it to go to a local video game store and try to support them. The mom and pop shops, right? Because I just don't want to see them go. I've seen so many stores disappear this year. Like big stores, I've had Starbucks close around me, and when that starts happening, you get a little nervous. You're like, what the heck's going on? So while I was at press start, I was just kind of like cruising, looking at things and all that, and then all of a sudden, I'm like, I look down at the counter and I'm like, oh my God, I said, is that what I think it is? And he's like, yeah, and it's so funny that the owner watched my episode and he knew exactly what I was talking about, because me and Kim did an episode on games we were playing, and one of the games Kim was playing was Donkey Kong Country. And we loved it, and she played it over Christmas. We had a really good time. She finished the game. It's a childhood memory for her. So I remember I said in that episode, one day we have to get a physical copy of that game, and Kim was like, oh my God, that would be so fantastic. So Kim was absolutely blown away when I came back from press start with a physical copy of Donkey Kong Country. And she actually made a little scream. She went, ah, oh my God. And it's so cool. This is one that me and Kim can keep together as a memory from the past and the future. It's just one of those things that we can physically own that will remind us of the fun that we had that Christmas and the fun that Kim had while she was a child. I mean, it's so cool. And you know what? I got a lot of fond memories with Donkey Kong Country. I remember seeing those graphics at first, and you know, it was just so beautiful, and it was so ahead of its time. You know, it's so that claymation style, but it was really, really great. So it's neat to go to a local video game store and buy a physical copy of a game. Like, what are the chances? What are the chances? I've had some pretty amazing luck in press start, you know, with Thimbleweed and now with Donkey Kong Country. So very cool to get this. Now we're down to the last item, and it's a D&D book. Absolutely, it is the final item. And it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Candlekeep Mysteries right here. I had to get this, and the reason why is because this is an excellent idea. And why it's an excellent idea is because there's 17 individual adventures in here written by 17 different authors. So they're all very different. And what's cool about them is they're all self-contained adventures. They're very short adventures that you can run really quickly. Why I like this is because I'm always looking for different ideas that I can throw into my D&D games. And with these, I can just go in, kind of look through it and say, this story suits the game that I'm playing, and I can insert this into my game, that individual story, and I can play it that way. And that's why I think this is a really cool D&D book. I can't wait to start playing some of these different adventures and reading through some of these different adventures. There's a lot going on in here, and there's a lot of different types of adventures, and they're also vastly different, and you get a really nice map at the end of the book as well. So I'm looking forward to this. I love D&D. I'm starting a brand new D&D campaign. I'm putting together the party members as we speak, and we'll definitely be using some of those adventures in there. So I had a lot of fun showing you guys all that stuff. So anyways, guys, until next time.